So now that we know how to tell whether the number is a rational number that can be expressed in fraction form and how to turn repeating infinite decimals into fraction forms, we're going to cover some questions so that we can be confident in math class. Let's look at some basic questions I've got for you guys. So question number 1, choose all the numbers that belong in the colored area. So when you look into this diagram to know what the colored area is, it belongs in the section of rational numbers, but it does not belong in the section of whole numbers, meaning the numbers can indeed be expressed in the terms or in the forms of fractions, but are not whole numbers and has remainants after or beyond the decimal point that is other than 0. So let's look at our options. Our first option is -6, but I just told you the whole numbers does not belong in the colored areas we can visibly see, so -6 is not the answer. Let's look at pi. We told you in our first video how pi is an irrational number, which means it does not even go into the circle and is outside the circle, so that pi is not a number either. And we can see from this that this -20/4, it can also be expressed as -5 if you try to turn it into the forms of decimals, or if you just try to cross things out into make it into a similar or a simpler form, we can see it turns out to be a negative whole number, which means that it does not belong in the colored area either. So our answer is 5/12 and 3.14 and 15. So let's look at our second question. Question number 2, as we transform 14/33 into a decimal, figure out the number cycle. To change 14/33 into decimal, we have to divide 14 by 33. So let's do that. It's actually very simple if you try to divide it. So obviously you're going to end up with some kind of a decimal form because it says to turn it into a decimal, and we can see for a fact that nothing can be crossed out. So let's divide 14 by 33. So we have 0 point, we added 0, and then we have 4, we end up with 132, 8, we add a 0, we end up with 2, and we have 66. And we again end up with 14, add a 0, and then we also end up with 4, 8, add a 0, and then we also have 2, 66, and it repeats forever. So we can easily guess the next number that's going to come up is 4, because 42 is number cycle we have, and we can write this number as 0.42 with a line on top. So our answer is, because we have to get the number cycle, and we can simply see the cycle is 42, we just write 42 and this is the answer. Now let's look at our question 3, which is our last question it's going to cover in this video. So question number 3, as we transform 6/13 to decimal, figure out the 20th number below the decimal point. And to turn this number into decimal form, we have to divide 6 by 13. So let's do that, as it is better done than being said. So let's divide this. We end up with 0, of course, and then point, and then we obviously have 4, and then 52, we end up with 8, and then we add a 0, we also end up with 6, 78, 2, 1, 0, 13, and if you keep dividing things on, I've already did the math for you, we end up with 0.461538 4615384615338. That goes on forever. That tells us that 0.461538 is indeed the pattern, is indeed the cycle. So we have 6 numbers, 4615338 in our cycle. So if you divide 6 by 20, actually let me rephrase. If you divide 20 by 6, we have 3, and then we have remainants of 2. So if you shift 2 to the right, we end up with 6. So our 20th number is 6.